Hello there. I just want to take a few minutes to articulate some thoughts about a fairly big action I just did right now. I just deleted my Instagram app, not my account, but my app because I want the application off my hardware. So lately, I've realized how attached I have been to my smartphone. It is essentially a limb now. It is a part of my body. I've made peace with that realization, and I think everyone is going to reach this point if you haven't yet. Uh, Technology is becoming much and much more integrated into our life, and I generally believe that it's part and equivalent to a limb. If you hold your phone for X amount of hours a day, if you sleep by it, it is an extension um, from you. So knowing that the specifications and the cognitive relationship with the hardware, whatever you have in that hardware is extremely important. And the reason that I deleted the app was for cognitive protection. I believe that attention and human behavior with algorithms and evolutionary psychology were programmed and we operate in a very malleable way. And I think technology has reached the point to evolutionary psychology, an evolution cognitive level, they're able to hijack our brain, or necessarily our attention, not necessarily the brain, but they do rewire and create neuroplasticity and neurogenesis in our brain, which leads to new behaviors. And those behaviors are the addiction. So I noticed that I was fairly addicted to Instagram, but the biggest turnoff and repellent about that was that the Instagram content I felt was equivalent to junk food. I felt that the more I consumed, the more gloggish thinking I've started to develop, and I did not like that. I was self-aware enough to realize that I didn't want to consume this. I didn't want this pattern to be part of my life. So I've tried mentally to prevent this. Right? I've set the time limit. I've muted a lot of people. Majority of my following is muted. Um, I believe in muting aggressively. Right, the social contract we have between followers is very interesting now, and that's also another part too is how deep and the depth of the cognitive social contracts we've constructed on social media. Going back to the hardware being part of our limb, I think software and social media is becoming an extension of our mind as well. So these identities and these characters that we develop on these social platform, which we dedicate a lot of time to, which is where we reside, which is where we develop and foster ideas, um, we start creating characters in these social platforms. I really think apps should be called portals. Um, it's your attention, your consciousness, your neuroactivity at the moment goes into this short box of stimulus and you're there for hours. So that itself is a very powerful place to be. So if you are in a negative space or in a space that isn't beneficial to you, it could be regressive. And that's where I got to the point with Instagram. I tried to tailor it, I tried to keep it clean, but I couldn't do so. And it's just to the point that the algorithms are very, very advanced and they can biohack our cognitive ability to comprehend or catch these sly spots. It's also very important to note that at one point in my life, this is very important context. At one point in my life, I was obsessed with cognitive biases. These are judgment flaws in our thinking process that we don't catch. It's very difficult to be attentive to catch these biases. You could be aware of them, you can know about them, but they happen so sly that they usually happen under the radar. So I knew about the cognitive biases that Instagram and uh, the smartphone, the iPhone is doing to me. However, I'm not strong enough. I've read that when you go to sleep, you replenish glucose, which is your brain fuel. So you have X amount of fuel to operate throughout the day. And if you constantly have to consume thinking power, you get depleted. And this is correlated to your willpower. So, just for context, If you are trying to prevent snacking, um, people fail at this because they always snack at night. Why? Because we're low on glucose and the, the snacks are there, which is the availability cognitive bias. That bias has enough strength to make you take the decision to go eat the snack. I mean, really deeply, you didn't want to, yet deeper than that, it did want you to. And that's time for another story about the sugar bias or sugar availability, evolutionary mismatch. But the point being is that these platforms are very, very powerful. They hacked our cognitive chemistry and they have control of us. The only area that we can have control is if we're not playing their game. Like I said, I prefer to call these apps these portals because you can't beat a creator of a game in their own space. They are the masters. They create the rules. They create the algorithms and the mechanisms of that reality when you're in that space. So the way you don't fall victim is you simply have to opt out. Doesn't matter how smart you are, doesn't matter how capable you are. If you are in these spaces long enough, you're going to be playing their rules and their mechanisms. And that's why I was addicted to Instagram, is that I was just addicted to the lottery effect of scrolling down and how it mimics novelty. I was addicted to finding that one piece of, or that one video that would make me belly laugh, which would happen once in a while. I was addicted to seeking pictures of friends, of acquaintances that I grew up with. They get you at a certain point in your age where if you have personal connections, social media is very personal, and how primitive about our kinship we are, a huge catch. So all these social behaviors and let's just say evolutionary psychology behaviors, we can't win. We can't win at that game. So simply opt out, get your headspace, get your availability to protect your judgment, your flow. The next part is your call. It's like if you free yourself X amount of time, for example, now I'm gonna free myself maybe an hour or two a day from being off Instagram. Where does that go to? Does it go towards something that's productive? Do I have the willpower to operate at that productive level? This is the complexity of life, but I got 2 hours back, and time is priceless. The one commodity. Who knows? We can, or who knows? In my lifetime, we can be aging, which I believe is going to be possible fairly soon. But will it happen in my lifetime? I don't know. Will I have the money to pay for the operations? Because guess who's going to get access to that first? And yeah, who knows how the future may be. But with that judgment call to delete that Instagram app, not opting into that game, to that portal, I could change my life. You can too. This is why I'm making the videos. I miss releasing content that I just articulate what I think about relevant big things in life. I think being a Gen Z, I'm reaching an interesting point in my life where it's the transition from being a teenager to an early adult and beyond this. I think it's an interesting point in life where I can see how every decision, every outcome carries much more weight. That's something I realized. The older you get, the more weight every decision you do carries. Okay, so my goal is just to share some information to make you think about thinking, evolve your judgment at your own way. And with that being said, I hope this was insightful. Let me know. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you.